Hello everyone, welcome to Chinatown Museum's first ever live stream. As part of our anniversary celebrations, we will be bringing a set of talks for all ages onto our Facebook page. These talks will be held every Saturday of the month at around 3 p.m. And feel free to let us know what you've learned from our series by posting something and hashtagging History Matters. So for today, as part
Hello everyone,
of
welcome to
just to kick
Chinatown
off, I guess,
Museum's
our
first
anniversary
ever live stream.
we will
As part
be
of our
talking about
anniversary
Binondo
celebrations, we will be
as a
bringing a set
shared
of
past. We're going
talks
to
for
talk
all
about
ages
Binondo's
onto our
cultural
Facebook
diversity.
page. These talks will be
Its
held every
history,
Saturday of the month at
its
around 3
space
p.m.
as a diasporic haven of sorts. And I'm honored to welcome our first guest on our first ever live stream, Professor Xiao Chua. So Professor Xiao is an assistant professorial lecturer at De La Salle University, Manila. He is a segment host at Xiao Time at the People's Television Network. He is a historical consultant at Katipunan at Ilustrado for GMA7 and for History with Lord on TV5.
Feel free to let us
So without further ado, I hope we can welcome Sir Xiao, or wherever he is.
Makasaysayang araw po sa ating lahat. Thank you, Binondo Chinatown Museum for inviting me.
Welcome, sir. So,
yes.
Before we begin na lang siguro, we are going to show a few questions that people wanted to ask you. And hopefully, throughout your lecture, we will answer these questions as Sir Xiao discussed. So some questions include what is the origin of the name of Binondo? So I think Sir Xiao kind of touched on this on the comment section now, but more on that later. I'm assuming these are the people living in Binondo, use a particular currency at that time, or did they trade mostly through barter exchange? Interesting question. And what made immigrants settle down in Binondo when there were other markets or, I guess, commercial hubs open at that time? So I think also very relevant question. And then, sir, something more touchy naman. Were there racial tensions towards the residents of Binondo? Oh, yeah.
It's like so timely.
Yeah. Very, very timely. And lastly, any notable or famous people who were born or have lived in Binondo? So, sir, take it away.
Okay. Again, makasaysayang araw po. I'm Xiao Chua. Please don't mistake me to another person who is doing feng shui. You know, it's really Xiao Chua. Si Hans Kua yun. Okay, so welcome to celebrating Binondo, a shared past. Now, before we start, we always associate Binondo with a lot of things. No? If you're going to look at the first picture, you will see we always look at Binondo as like the Chinese entry. So, wait a minute. Yeah, so the Chinese enclave, you will see there the Chinese New Year. You know, people will go to Binondo for that. And if you're going to see the next picture, you will also see that we always associate Binondo with first, of course, the Jones Bridge. We associate it with food, Chinese food especially, and we always associate it with Pakyawan. No? Now, this talk, and I'm so honored to be the very first one for the Binondo Chinatown Museum. You will see the next slide. This talk is sort of a patikim. Ano bang meron sa Chinatown Museum? Kasi maganda yan na you have Binondo as a whole experience, but you also have Chinatown as parang as going back to the past. And going back also to the significance of Chinatown and Binondo. So you will also see in the next picture, you will see a lot of the jewelry, yung mga iba't ibang mga nangyari sa Binondo, maritime trade, spices, ivory. You will see it in the displays of the museum. Okay, now, before we go to, yeah, you see there the map already. Nakikita ninyo yan. You will understand what happened to Binondo by looking at the location of Binondo. Nasaan ba ang Binondo? So you see there that there are, you see the names of the districts. You have Manila Bay, there, Intramuros, dito sa left side nyo, you have San Nicolas District, and then you have Pasig River, and Puente de Espana, or now we call Jones Bridge, and then Escolta, and then you see Binondo right there at the right side. Now, Manila Bay and Pasig River, this is what we call in Tagalog alog. Okay, alog is the river delta. And that's why we now know, according to Dr. Lars Ubaldo, that the term Binondo, the term Tagalog actually came from the word alog, which is the river delta, kung saan nagkikita yung rivers at saka yung sea. I am sorry, I just have to put my earphones. I forgot to put them for a clearer audio. There. Okay. Now, that's why if you're going to look at the maritime culture of the Philippines before the coming of the Spaniards, you will see na itong alog is actually important because, can you go back to the slide before that? You will see that, oh, nawala. Anyway, there's a, shall we say, importante itong alog because dito pumapasok yung mga iba't ibang mga produkto at mga traders. Even before the Spaniards came, Intramuros used to be the kingdom of Maynila, of Raja Sulaiman. And ang nangyayari dyan ay parang yung Maynila, which is near Binondo, the Binondo is on the other side, becomes what we call the toll gate for many traders to go inside the innermost part of Luzon. So if you want to go to Manila, to Laguna de Bay, the kingdoms there, you will have to pass by this area. So yan yung mundo ng Binondo. So even before the Spaniards came, bagsakan na yan ng produkto. That's why we believe that that is the reason why even today, Binondo is sort of bagsakan, no? Pakyawan, because that is how during the time of before the coming of the Spaniards, yan yung nakikita natin. In the Alfredo Roca collection, you will see that there are pictures of that old maps. You have pictures of those old ships, yung mga tinatawag na junk, and you will see also in the Chinatown Museum, next slide, drawings of artistic representations of how the Chinese were able to trade not just with our ancestors, but also eventually with the Spaniards. We're going to talk about that later. Okay, so you see na the Filipinos, next slide, you will see the Filipinos are, collecting the various, shall we say, products that they sell to the Chinese. And the Chinese, of course, exchanges them with silk, porcelain, and all of that. So later we will talk about that. And also, nakikita natin dito, there's ditong Boxer Codex drawings where you see how in 1593, the Spaniards showed kung ano yung mga itsura ng mga tao nung unang panahon. So for example, you will see there the Tagalog, Naturales Tagalos, which have yung mga tao na may mga ginto sa kanilang nasuot-suot sa kanilang katawan. And then you have ang mga itsura din ng mga Chinese na nakikipag-trade. So you will see that makikita natin na to talk about Binondo, you have to look at further doon sa history ng ugnayan ng mga katutubo dito sa bayang ito, sa mga isla dito sa Pilipinas, at yung mga Tsino na isang imperyo na nakikipagkalakal sa kanyang mga kapitbahay. So what were they trading? Next slide, you will see that the Chinese were trading silk, pottery, tame buffalo, hardware, farm implements, and yung mga people from these islands, you have swallow's nest, tortoise shells, sea cucumber, shark fins, mother of pearl, beeswax, gold dust, and pearls. These are, of course, you will see na these are also favorite din ng mga Chinese, itong mga items na ito. And the Chinese items also became a favorite when there were archaeological diggings that happened in many parts of the country. You will see that in the old kingdoms, you can always find Ming jars from the Chinese trade in the different archaeological settings. You will see in the next slide yung isang painting of Manalad in the Bulacan capital, where you will see our ancestors trading with the Chinese. And yeah, you might ask, ano bang palitan nila noon? Was it really barter trade? Well, in a sense, yes, but it's not hindi naman siya talaga barter trade in the sense na walang sistema. Okay? Na may produkto ka lang and then papalitan lang kabud. Hindi siya ganon. You have to see na there at the time that the Spaniards already came the Spaniards, before the Spaniards came here, itong ating mga Pilipino were already, shall we say, anong tawag dito? They have a system wherein certain products are equivalent to metal. No? So magkakaroon sila ng mga produkto, no? So, for example, the Chinese would need rice, for example. They would need a certain number of gold or silver na readily available na ibinibigay as currency. So tandaan natin na yung mga pera-pera din naman ng mga tao nung unang panahon sa ibang bansa, they're already in what we call precious metals. So silver, they're using silver. Ngayon, hindi na natin ginagawa yan. Meron tayong mga parang substitutes na parang yung value na lang ng money yun na nakastore sa vault yung talagang ginto natin. But at that time, we're really trading with gold, silver, and all of that. Yun yung ginagawa natin. So meron na ring pera. So for example, barterings, ginagamit yan. O kaya mga alahas ng mga ninuno natin, yung gold of ancestors natin, yun yung ginagamit nila. If you will see in the next slide, you will see na our kingdoms were part of what we call the Southeast Asian trade route to China. And you will see in the next slide that in the Boxer Codex, our ancestors were actually depicted in 1593 wearing our gold, which is the gold of ancestors, and what I believe are silk items from the Chinese. So they're wearing silk as it appears here. And in fact, this Boxer Codex that was pinagawayan ni Governor General Gomez Perez Dasmariñas in 1593 was actually made by a Chinese artist, we believe. So next slide, you will see the Chinese. Again, you will see the appearance of a Chinese in 1593. And another slide shows that as well. Now, we go to the Binondo etymology. Ano ba? Saan ba nanggaling yung salitang Binondo? Now, of course, you always read this, that Binondo came from binundok. But I already have a big problem when I read that because naghanap ako, bakit may bundok ba sa Binondo? Wala namang bundok doon. Di ba may ilog doon? Di ba may mga maliliit na mga estero na naging estero pagdating ng mga Espanyol? But wala namang bundok doon. So paano siya naging binundok? Parang hill ba yun? Hindi dapat hill yung tawag nila. No, burol. Hindi binundok. Binurol siguro. So wala akong bundok doon. That's why Jean-Paul Potet, a French linguist na expert po sa ating wika dito sa Pilipinas, he believes, and experts always believe, na yung mga iba't ibang mga halaman o yung mga formation sa lupa at sa tubig, yan yung mga usual names talaga o pinagmumulan na names ng mga lugar. So Tagalog, Tagalog, 'di ba? Agusan, Agos, 'di ba? And all of that. Dito naman sa Tarlac, halimbawa, I'm here in Tarlac today, no, maraming Chinoy dito. Sa Tarlac, Tarlac is actually a grass. Kasi sabi ni Putet, ito'y tindok-tindukan. Galing daw sa tindok-tindukan. O yung tinatawag natin tundok. No? This is Aegiceras corniculatum, and it's a mangrove that grows in the river. You will see there's an old illustration here. And in actual picture, you will also see it there. Ayan. ito yung tindok-tindukan o yung tinatawag natin tundok. Now, this is amazing. And it makes more sense now because if you're going to look at the name of Tondo, Tondo actually also came from Tundok. So it makes sense kasi you have Tondo, nakatabi ng Binondo, na actually pareho lang sila ng pinagmulan ng pangalan. You have Tundok, Tondo, and Tindok-Tindukan, Binondo. Oh, Binundok, Tindok-Tindukan, Binondo, Tindok-Tindukan. Oh, ayan, ngayon alam na natin yung isa sa mga mas probable theory. Now, ito yung kailangan nating maintindihan kasi si Xiao Chua, Xiao Chua na siyang gumawa nung parang account of various barbarians na tinatawag natin, yung Chu Fanchi. At around about 900, sinulat niya to 13th century, pero about 900 AD daw, may mga pumunta daw mga tao sa China na that they call themselves coming from a place called Mai. Mai. Now, of course, a lot of people said that it's probably in Mait, Mindoro. But more scholars now believe that it could have been Maynila. Maynila. No? It makes more sense na actually the people from Mait, from Mai were actually coming from Maynila. No? And what was Maynila at that time? Maynila, if you're going to look at this picture of the Laguna de Bai, place, area, yung Pasig River will go to lumulusot yan sa Laguna de Bai. Maynila is with Tondo, no? And yung area na nga ng Binondo, Tondo at that time was a large kingdom. And it was actually mentioned in the Laguna Copper Plate inscription na yung kingdom of Tondo, Paila or Pila Laguna, and Puliran Kasumuran, which is the mountainous kingdoms at Nagcarlan, Liliw, and Mahayhay in Laguna, were actually transacting with each other with people from Butuan, which is Dewata, and people from Medang, which was Indonesia. 900 AD, they were already trading with each other. So yan yung area ng Binondo. It was a rich kingdom in many ways, malapit doon sa tinatawag na, malapit yung Binondo doon sa rich kingdom na tinatawag na Tondo. And just to give context to how we were already, dealing with the Chinese at that time, we are using those waters. Of course, mahirap pag-usapan dito yung our problems with the West Philippine Sea, but there's probably a confusion there because for the many years, for centuries, that was common waters na dumadaan ang mga Chino at ang mga Indio, ang mga Pinoy na pumupunta sa China at pupunta sa Pilipinas. So during the time of one of the emperors, a Chinese emperor, yung sultan na si Paduka Batara o Paduka Pahala ay bumisita sa China, 1417. At well, of course, alam na natin istorya doon, namatay siya doon, tapos the emperor, Yingluo, was able to become generous with the sultan's family kasi namatay nga siya doon sa China habang binibisita siya. He was welcomed, sayang kasi he was welcomed as a head of state. The Sultan of Sulu was recognized by China, no? Ang nangyari, namatay si Sultan doon. Kaya doon siya nilibing, yung anak niyang isa ay umuwi para maging sultan, yung pamilya niya at yung asawa niya ay nanatili sa China at tinuring na royal family at binigyan ng lupa doon at hanggang ngayon may descendants si Sultan of Sulu Paduka Batara ng mga Chinese. So, ganun katindi yung pakikipag-ugnayan. Of course, that would change when the Spaniards came. And dati kasi, the Chinese were just going here to trade. Historians believe they're not settling, hindi sila nagsisettle dito, nagtitrade lang talaga sila. But eventually, of course, the Spaniards will institute what we call the galleon trade. And when the galleon trade happened, this was 200 years. This was the longest trade route ever in the history of the world. You will see in the map there that almost half of the world ang naabot ng galleon trade. It was Manila, Acapulco, Sevilla, Spain. The longest trade route ever in the history of the world. Doon nakakuha ang nakakita ang Chinese ng mga opportunities. So they settled, they went to the Philippines, they settled near the Spanish enclave. You know, we know the Spanish enclave. In the next picture, you see there's Intramuros. But in Intramuros, there's a place called Puerta del Parian. In the next picture, you will see it. Puerta del Parian is actually a gate leading to the Parian. Parian is the market where the Chinese were also located outside Intramuros. So this was the ancient, the ethnic Chinese, pure-blooded ethnic Chinese were residing. And because naturally the Chinese were traders, they were able to, shall we say, they were able to trade, and they were able to sell things. Nagbenta sila sa mga Kastila. Kaya yung Puerta del Parian, lalabas yung mga Kastila dun sa gate.
Okay, I think we are currently experiencing some technical difficulties. Okay, I think we are currently experiencing. Please hold on while we try to get our live going again. Yeah, we are working on it. We hear you.
I'm back. Can you hear me? I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yes,
I
sir.
can hear
Yes,
you
sir. I
po.
can hear you. Okay, you're back.
Thank you
You're
so
back.
much. I'm back. I'm very sorry. Okay, now, where did I stop?
According to the comments po, you stopped at around the Puerto del Parian discussion.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, sige, let's basically I'll just repeat that Parian was the area where the Chinese, ethnic Chinese were settled by the Spaniards. So tandaan nyo, ganito yung estilo dyan, ano? The Spaniards were always thinking of racial lines. Na kami, doon kami sa Intramuros, sa loob kami yung mapuputi. No? Pero, itong mga Chinese na ito, doon sila sa Parian, and they were asked, the ethnic Chinese were just asked to just stay there. O para silang ano doon, parang ghetto, no? Parang they were just allowed. Alam mo, remember during the time of the Spaniards, kaya ka nga may sedula. Kasi parang ganito, 'di ba? Nakaka-relate kayo sa quarantine, di kayo makalabas sa mga probinsya, no? Parang ganoon nung panahon ng Spaniards. You just can go from one province to another. You need papers, no? And for the ethnic Chinese, they're not allowed to roam around the country. No? They're only settled in one place. So that's the big problem. Kaya kung titingnan mo, talagang there's a racial issue already there. No, na sila'y sinasegregate tong mga ethnic Chinese. But again, they were useful to the Spaniards because nakakakuha ng murang-murang produkto ang mga Kastila sa kanila. And why are the Chinese so successful? Why? Because remember na kapag ka sila po ay kumuha ng mga produkto, they get it pakyawan talaga. They get wholesale, and then they can retail it for very, very small kita. No? Yun yung profit nila, kaunting-konti lang per product. But because sobrang mura nilang magbigay ng produkto, sobrang dami ng kinukuha sa kanila ng tao. No? So, yan ang secret talaga ng mga Chinese sa Pilipinas. Lagi sinasabi sa akin, tinuturo sa akin yan ng mga nanay ko, tatay ko, na ganun ang mga Chinese. Nagtutubo sila ng maliit dahil doon maraming bumibili sa kanila. So they were called Xianglis or Sangle. And you will see that in the Baxter Codex sa Sangli. Now, for the longest time, Sangli was thought to be tawag sa kanila ay market. No? Parang Sangli, pronounced as Sangli, is from Sengdi Shengyi, which is business. No? And then the Baxter Codex was acquired, very clear copy, in-scan. At nung nakita, kasi may Chinese characters yung Baxter Codex, nalaman nila, no, hindi pala Sangli yun. Hindi siya Sangli or Sengdi Shengyi. No? It was really, the Sangli came from Sanglai or Sangle, Xiongli in Hokkien, or Sengdi or Shengyi, which is basically a frequent visitor. Which is true, no? Sabi ni Ma'am Mea C, no? Na ang mga Sangle was a frequent visitor during the time ng ating mga ninuno. Kaya tinawag silang Sangle. Kami mga bisita nyo, laging bisita. So it makes more sense. And of course, this you will see the Baxter Codex, no? Copy, and you will see na ayun po yung characters dun sa taas. And for the first 200 years of Spanish colonization, this is true. 90% of the Chinese came from Fujian and the rest came from Canton. So, yung Fujian, which is isa sa mga malapit na province sa atin, sa Pilipinas. O kaya marami. Now, what did they do? Aside from market, no, some of them are so talented with printing kasi nagpiprint na talaga yung mga Chinese. So the Spaniards actually got them to become printers. So the Chinese printers printed the very first book ever in the Philippines, which was Doctrina Cristiana en Lengua Española y Tagala, no, by the Dominicans in 1593. And kasama niyan, hindi masyadong tinuturo, was the second printed material in the Philippines called the Shilu. The Shilu is Doctrina Cristiana en Lengua China. So these two publications, you will see in the next slide, they actually have a connected history. And sino pa ang kukunin nilang printer? They will get a guy named Tomas Pinpin. And Tomas Pinpin, we believe, is at Sinoy. So marunong siyang mag-print dahil may tradition na siya ng pagpiprint ng mga Chinese. Now, what would happen? Using these two books, they're going to convert some of the ethnic Chinese to the religion of the Spaniards. And they would be called Sanglay Cristiano. So you will see in the next picture, there's a picture here of the Sanglay Cristiano with the kid, very cute, nagigitara pa. Now, what happened again to continue the racial segregation that the Spaniards were doing? Hinati pa nila yung mga Sangle, yung mga Chinese. So they separated from the ethnic Chinese, like Luis Perez Dasmariñas, the son of Gomez Perez Dasmariñas, when he became the Governor General, created a place on March 28, 1594 to settle those Sangle Cristiano, and that's Binondo. So they put a parish there, which is now, of course, Binondo Church, which is a very beautiful painting by Jose Honorato Lozano of the Binondo Church. So there's a pagoda by Jose Honorato Lozano who is nandoon din, Chinese pagoda. And another picture, you will see Chinese merchants by Jose Honorato Lozano. Very beautiful pictures here. Now, I believe this is Damian Domingo. The next picture will show you yung tinatawag nating Mestizo Chino. So, these Chinese, ganito yan I'll tell you something. Ngayon lang yan yung tinatawag na Great Wall. The Great Wall, di ba? Parang bawal mag-asawa ang isang Chinese sa isang Pilipino. May mga pamilyang pinagbabawal yon. But that was actually a 20th century phenomenon. During the time of the Spaniards, hindi sila maselan. They intermarry with the Spaniards. At I think the Chinese and the if I'm not mistaken, okay, the Chinese and the Spaniards when they intermarried, they were called the tornatras. Oh, yung mestizo Chino, kapag ka Pinoy, yung Pinoy yung mga kaano nila. No? So yan, may mestiza China tayo dito, and then the Indio. So nag-i-intermarry din sila, nagkakaroon sila ng mga ng mga supling. And here you will see yung sinasabi ko kanina, that there's a Binondo Church in the next slide. Is it there? Yeah. Yeah, there's a Binondo Church by, I think this is Yauhan Karot, if I'm not mistaken. And then another picture in the 19th century, late 19th century. Ayan. Look at the coolie. Yeah, there's a picture of a coolie. Now I understand why it's called the coolie. Kasi nag-usap-usap kami ng mga friends natin sa Chinatown Museum. Hindi ko rin masyadong alam to. Ano ba yung coolie? No? Coolie pala yan. Yan yung mga nagbubuhat, nakikita natin. No? Can you show the next picture? By I think it's Lozano also. Yung Calle Rosario in Binondo. Yeah, you will see there's a coolie there. No? Ano ba yung coolie na yan? Akala ko dati pansit ang binebenta. No? Yun pala, para daw siyang sweet na inumin. It's a sweet na parang ang equivalent daw ito na siguro nung mantataho natin ngayon. So yan yun, mga Chinese yan. No? Hindi sila takot gumawa ng mga trabahong maliliit na may maliit na kita sa bawat produkto, pero sila they get by. And you will see, may teatro pa sila sa Binondo noong mga Spanish period. There's Teatro de Binondo there, and you will see this is the Binondo street during the time of the Spaniards. Now, there's a debate. Ano ba, Chinatown daw of Binondo is the oldest Chinatown. So 1500s tayo, di ba? 15th century, which means 1400s, meron ng Chinese community sa Cambodia. Huh? So, ibig sabihin, kung may Chinese community na sila doon, di mas matanda yun kaysa doon sa Binondo, Chinatown. Although, technically, 2013 lang sila naging Chinatown. So, hindi nila tinatawag yung Chinatown na sarili nila until 2013. Tayo matagal ng Chinatown yung tinatawag natin dyan. Huh? So, but that's a debate. No? It's not so important because I believe the first Chinatown ever in the world is in China. Wala na dapat away doon. Okay, so the problem was, the next slide you will see Luis Perez Dasmariñas, painted by Felix Resurrection Hidalgo. You know this guy? He's so unlucky. He will die kasi yung father niya, si Gomez, pinatay ng mga sangli yun. Kasi malupit siya sa mga sangli doon sa galyon nila, pinatay nila. So that, and then ito, yung anak niya, napatay din sa isang labanan with the sangli kasi may Chinese rebellion na nangyayari. So, with all these kinds of conflict between the Spaniards and the Chinese, nagkaroon ng retaliation yan. So, there were times that they massacred men, women, children, 25,000 Chinese. There's one na 30,000 Chinese. So, medyo matindi sila dito sa ganitong mga and then of course you have the attack of Limahong, no? Dahil si Limahong ay isang Chinese, and then they are going to suspect na may mga kakampi sila dito. There was one time that the 3 mandarins came to the Philippines, and then after that, minasakar nila yung Chinese kasi naghinala sila na spies yung 3 mandarin na yon. This is a very sad thing na nangyari. So paningers din yung mga Kastila because if you're going to see the next picture, a lot of their cannons are actually pointed at the Chinese enclave. So both yung Binondo and also yung tinatawag natin na Parian ay may mga kanyon na nakatutok dyan. So just to protect their capital. Now, of course, the non-Christianized Chinese, if they were not able to become Christian, they have a separate cemetery also. Kasi yung mga cemeteryo ng Katoliko, para lang sa mga Katoliko yun. So, they have segregation talaga talagang issue talaga nila yung race talaga. At yung religion. Na kapag hindi sumama, kaya nga sa bawat bayan, ang sinasabi nila, merong cemeteryo ng Inchik. So, there's a Catholic cemetery which they call Campo Santo, holy ground, yung cemeteryo ng Inchik. So, hindi holy para sa kanila yon. So may ganong chorba. No? So this is one picture, an old photograph of a Chinese person, no? Siguro around early 20th century. maninirahan sila no sa iba't ibang lugar. So the Chinese eventually, aside from Binondo, aside from Parian, they will live in Tondo. So you will see here the parish of Tondo, next picture. And they will live in Tondo, they will live in Quiapo, no? So you see the parish of Quiapo where they are processing the Nazareno even in the 19th century, which 1800s and 17th century. And then, of course, Santa Cruz. You see the Church of Santa Cruz there in the old picture in the next slide. Pero, even if they will live in Tondo, Binondo, what you call this, Quiapo and Santa Cruz, Binondo would still be, the parang center of Chinese, Catholic Chinese shall we say, activity, in which a lot of them were actually able to continue, a lot of their activities, no? So you will see there's at nakikihalubilo sa mga Indio, sa mga Kastila. So you will see there a drawing of an Indio and a Chino, and then makakulid din yung or ang sineserve niya, no? And then of course you will see another picture here of yung naglelechon. Nakita niyo ba 'yon, no? Oo, tingnan niyo yung susunod. Yan, naglelechon. Oh, 'di ba? So 'di ba lechon ang kinakain ng mga Chinese. And then of course you have here another picture of yung mga zapatero. So even the Westerners go to the Chinese for their shoe needs, ano? So zapatero, and then yung yung itong mahirap kasi talagang gawin ito, yung nagtututuli. Oh, so yung mga yung kumukuha ng earwax, no? And so yan, makikilala yung Chinatown, yung Binondo, doon sa mga activities na yan. So there are lots of economic activities you will see in the next slides. And of course, yung economic activity ngayon dahil baksakan ng produkto, how do you ship those products to other parts of the country? And what were their means of transportation? So nasa ilog, no, you will see the Puente De Espana, no, Jones Bridge. Makikita nyo, noon, ang ginagamit nila, yan. So may little eskinita dito, susunod na picture, you will see the cascos. No? So yung casco, yun yung ginagamit nilang pang tawag dito, pang transport ng goods, pang transport ng tao, no? So ayan, other pictures. So sa Binondo, alam nyo dati, I'll tell you something. This is quite interesting. Manila was called the Venice of Asia kasi yung mga Quiapo, Binondo, Santa Cruz, pwede siyang i-traverse via this estero system, no? Na pag tinignan mo, nakakatawa ito, makikita mo na kahit sa likod ng bahay ng mga tao na nakatapat sa ilog, meron silang entrances. So kaya nga makikita mo 'yun, 'di ba, doon sa No Limit Tangere, doon sa 'di ba nakatira sa Binondo si Kapitan Tiago, na pumunta si Ibarra tapos dumaan siya doon sa likod ng ilog, doon sa likod ng bahay. At doon sila nagsuyuan ni Maria Clara for the very last time. So, 'yun yung makikita natin. Can I see the next slide? Yeah. So, 'yun. Yan. So, in the Binondo Chinatown Museum, you will see this. No? Yung representation ng casco, yung mga products ng Chinatown. So, makikita nyo rin yan doon sa museum natin. Okay? So, you have here the Chinese indulging in music. So, with the Westerners. So, may slide ka ba doon? Yan. And then, there's a exhibit in the Binondo Chinatown Museum where you will see this representation of Catholicism. No? Kasi nga, kahit Chinese sila, they actually, shall we say, embrace the Catholic religion, a lot of them, and actually engaged in some works na nagpaunlad sa ating church history. So for example, the next picture is not in Binondo. It's actually in Intramuros. It's called San Agustin Church. But in San Agustin Church, they actually left some food dogs, which are Chinese good luck lions. So you will see in the next picture, itong mga food dogs na ito. Can I see? Yes. And you will also see na may mga images dyan, itong mga Our Lady of the Most Holy Rosary of La Naval. A lot of the images actually, during the time of the Spaniards, were actually ivory images that were made by the Chinese. So if you're going to see one of the statues in the San Agustin Church, itong Immaculate Conception, you will see na this is pure ivory. But that was made by the Chinese. Kaya makita mo yung mata niya, Chinese, the end. So, Binondo Church actually became a hotbed of
Sir
deep
Xiao, I think
spirituality.
you're lagging.
Yes.
I think
Oh, am I
there's
lagging?
currently
Yeah. Wait,
no audio. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. Wait a minute. When did the when did the problem arise?
Sir Xiao, I think you're lagging.
Okay, am I now okay? Subok tunog, isa, dalawa, tatlo.
Hold on.
Okay, wait. Yeah. You're very clear to me.
Okay, so I
Okay,
think
am I now
I think the audio is
Am I
back.
now okay?
The audio is back.
Okay, good. Nagtanggal ako ng isa. Okay, sige. Thank you so much. I think I'm clear with the Chinese were actually doing images of saints and all of that. Yeah. Okay. Sige. Binondo Church became the hotbed of deep spirituality, where you will see one of their escribiente was a guy named Lorenz Louise.
You are okay, sir.
Yes.
You
I'm
are okay, sir.
Good. Okay. So you have Lorenz Louise, is an escribano. He's a secretary. He writes things for the priests in Binondo Church. And he was Chinoy. His father was a Chinese guy, and his mother was Filipina. And you know what happened to him? Of course, he joined the Dominicans to be martyred in propagating the faith in Japan. And Lorenzo Louise and his companions was the first beatification ever made outside Rome in Manila in 1981, and he was canonized after that. Also, in Binondo resided with a Chinese father and a Filipino mother, a woman named Ignacia Yuko. Ignacia Yuko wanted to become part of the nuns of the Jesuits, but of course they were not allowed to be nuns at that time because they were Filipina. They were Filipina, and she was also Chinese Filipina. So what she did was she proposed to the church a new congregation where they will accept Indias, or yung tinatawag nating native Filipinas, and the Chinese mestizos. And that is when the Religiosas de la Virgen Maria, also known as the Beaterio de Compañía de Jesus, was instituted. So Mother Ignacia del Espiritu Santo was a true valiant Filipina who wanted Pinays, Indias, to be part of the church, of the nuns. Kaya nga bayani itong si Mother Ignacia del Espiritu Santo. And guess what? She was Chinoy. See? So ang daming contributions ng community na ito sa ating bayan. Now, let's see. The next slide, you will see that because you have an eclectic mix in Binondo of the Chinese tradition and the Catholic faith, even today, they practice some sort of a syncretic religion. Father Aristotle of the Jesuits is studying this phenomenon of syncretic Buddhism and Christianity that you still see in Manila. So this is an image that I took at the back of the Binondo Church, where you will see that they are actually using Chinese incense, and they're doing the yung yes, no, maybe of the Taoists, and you see there's a cross there. So it's really folk, kumbaga folk Buddhism, folk Christianity in a way that they mixed it. So it's very colorful, the religious traditions in Binondo. Diba? So another picture, you'll see me there. Yeah. Yeah, there it is. So eventually, there would be Chinese elites, no, that would rule in Binondo, and they would be, kasi may mga rich Chinese, may mga poor Chinese na rin at that time. you will see that some of them would become what we call the Capitancino, or the Chinese Gobernadorcillo in Binondo. So, Capitancino ang tawag nila doon. So, this is a Chinese guy who rules and leads in Binondo. Now, there's one beautiful picture here of streets in Binondo. Next slide, please. There. Yan. And then, so you will see various activities. And then you will see here in this photo, these pictures, very, very beautiful, na makikita mo na hindi pala black and white ang mga Pilipino nun. Hindi sila black and white. Makukulay yung kanilang mga suot. They're very full of life and all of that. Next picture, you will see what's this? This is Puente De Espana. Puente De Espana was actually a later bridge in the 19th century that was added to ease the traffic, no? Doon sa ibang mga bridges na ginagamit ng mga Kastila at that time, no? Like, you know, the other bridges. Now, Puente de Espana eventually became Jones Bridge. Now, they destroyed the old bridge. So, yung Jones Bridge ngayon was not really Puente de Espana. I mean, I think they move it one block. But still, that's the old bridge na parang that's the attribute that bridge, the beginning of that bridge to the old Puente de Espana. So, it's now Jones Bridge na. At that time, they made, ang dami niyang magagandang mga design. Now, of course, they redesigned it, no? Today, they wanted to get the old feel back, not exactly the old, you know, Manila feel, the old original Jones Bridge, but, you know, just to give the old feel. So they put the Parisian, you know, lamp posts there, and they wanted to bring back what we call the four La Madre Filipina statues, which apparently we now know what they meant: democracy, justice, which is now at the Court of Appeals, hindi pa nila ibinabalik, and they want it back. Progress, which is La Madre Filipina na nasa Luneta, and gratitude, which was destroyed during the war, and we now have a replica. So democracy, justice, progress, and gratitude, the Americans placed those La Madre Filipina doon sa Jones Bridge to tell us that this is the legacy of Representative William Jones. So William Jones gave the law, gave birth to the Jones Law, which gave us what we call Philippine independence eventually. So yun yung na democracy, justice, progress, and gratitude is La Madre Filipina's way of thanking America for their legacies to the Philippines, lalo na doon sa ginawa ni William Jones. Yun ang ibig sabihin ng Jones Bridge. It's really a reminder of American colonization, which was, of course, part of our history. We cannot change that. There's a kinulayang kasaysayan, no? Remember that they're going to be the next speakers, no, of this event. And also, we're talking about money kanina and exchange, the Halo-Halo Histories team, no, will be part of the webinar as well, and they will talk about cash saysayan. Okay, but you see here, kinulayang kasaysayan, which is how they color this picture, no? You will see the Hotel de Oriente, which is the most beautiful hotel at that time, which was in Binondo. And you will see here the another, yung mga nagbubuhat, and yung kanilang mga binibenta, and you will see other pictures from the Illustrated London News, na makikita ninyo yung ginagawa ng mga Chinese there. Now, there's a picture of Hotel de Oriente. Besides what we call, at dyan nag-hotel si Rizal, ano? Actually, dyan nakuha yung propaganda niya na kaya nahuli siya at dinala sa dapitan, no? Ano yung planted yun ng mga Kastila, no? Yung Pobres Frailes, dyan sa Hotel de Oriente yun. And then you will see, nakatabi niya yung La Insular Cigar and Cigarette Factory. Itong dalawang itong Hotel de Oriente at saka yung La Insular, near what we call the Binondo Church. So you will see there the Binondo Church as well. So next slide. Ayan. Yun. Okay, sige. Then there's Plaza Cervantes, and there was banking, there was business in Binondo. Kaya nga nakakatuwa no, na makita itong mga old pictures na ito. Of course, near Binondo was a place, next picture. Oh. Yan. No? And then another picture, yan, which is Escolta. No? Near Binondo is what we call Escolta. It's a street in Manila na makikita natin na eventually, because Binondo was the Bagsakan and the Pacquiawan and the central business district, Escolta became the convenient successor of this. Escolta, during the end of the Spanish era, was like the Makati of the Philippines. It was like the Makati of that time. It was a central business district. No? So eventually, no, and of course, Escolta now is almost forgotten, but you will see that dyan itatayo yung mga magagandang buildings during the time of the Americans, because even during the time of the Americans, before the war, Escolta was still the shopping district of Manila. And John Ray Ramos, my friend, from Proyecto, no? Next slide, please. You will see him here, telling stories about Binondo, and you will see in the next slide, ayan, yung mga shops in Binondo during the time of the Spaniards. Next picture. And you will see that Santa Cruz Church, which is at the end of Binondo. And today, you will also see there, ayan, the Santa Cruz Church and the new buildings there from the time of the Americans. And you will see the first Clark's and the first ice cream parlor, nandyan po sa Escolta yan. And you will see another view of Escolta, no? From the Santa Cruz Church. You will see the funeral of Magsaysay passing by Escolta. Very beautiful buildings na parang, and these were saved during the war. So it's like the Paris of the Philippines, of Manila. No? So, what's my point here? No? Before we go to, kasi may question tayo about famous people from Binondo. Now, let me see. Look at this. And very briefly, because I only have about 10 minutes left. Look. In the next pictures you will see, this is like the Sangle Filipinas. These are labeled, mga Mestiza China and Sangle Filipinas. And then there's another picture, a very beautiful one and very famous, from the Jeronimo Berenguer de los Reyes Museum. Next slide. Yeah, you will see her. She was also labeled Sangle Filipina. This is like the mix of history, heritage that Binondo has. No, is represented by whoever this woman is. Na she's a Sangle, but she's also a Filipina. And this is the various traditions of very rich heritage na kanilang naisabuhay sa Binondo. So Binondo is not just Chinese. People are always thinking Binondo, Chinatown. No, Binondo is really Philippine history in a capsule. That you have the Chinese influence, the European influence, the Filipino influence, all in that image. So can you go back to that picture of the lady? I would like it to be the last image for this part that you will see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there. So siya yun, the Sangle Filipina girl from the GBR Museum. She's like the representation in a way of Binondo. She's as Filipino as all the traditions that we have is Filipino. Okay, let's go to famous Binondo people. Famous Binondo people is Balbino. The first one would be Balbino Mauricio. Balbino Mauricio, if you're going to look at the painting before Rizal, Balbino Mauricio was a very rich ilustrado guy. So what happened was, the galleon trade stopped by early 1800s because of the Mexican Revolution, at nagkaroon ng parang pagbabago sa ekonomiya, that the Spaniards opened the ports and the foreign traders came in. When the foreign traders came in, what they did was they got Indios as part of the economy. So they got Indios as their middlemen. And because of this, nag-rise up yung mga Ilustrados. Eventually, they will be called Ilustrados. They are Indios and Chinese mestizos. A lot of them from Binondo. No? And one of them would be Balbino Mauricio. Now, Jose Honorato Lozano painted this in 1863. Gusto ko lang i-point out sa inyo, 1864 I mean. Look at the painting. Can you go back to the painting? In the middle, you will see Binondo. There's Puente De Espana there, and you will see there's the garden again na nakita natin kanina. There's this Balbino Mauricio, letras y figuras, sa Honorato Lozano. So mga rich people, ipinapagawa nila yan. You will see in the middle a drawing or drawings of a house. No, na may courtyard, may staircase, you see the large living room, you have the corridors, and you have the dining room. Okay. 1864. Jose Rizal eventually would remember this house because remember, he was in Manila. Can we go to Jose Rizal? Yeah. He was in Manila. He was a student there. He probably knew Balbino Mauricio or his activities, and he remembers Balbino Mauricio because Balbino Mauricio will become the inspiration for Capitan Tiago. Okay, Balbino Mauricio lived in Binondo, and you will see again, next slide, you will see that this house that was painted by Lozano when Rizal was only 3 years old is the exact picture of how Rizal described Capitan Tiago's house in the first chapter of the Noli Me Tangere. Oh, and where's that house? It's what in what we call Juan Luna Street now, which was Anloague Street. Anloague Street beside the Estero. Oh, and this is Binondo. So Binondo is definitely part of our history. It was Capitan Tiago's house, which was inspired by a guy named Balbino Mauricio. So you will see here a picture of the La Solidaridad in the next slide. And why? Why is that? Why do you have La Solidaridad there? Because that publication by the propaganda movement actually just floated around. And you will see in this next slide, you will see pictures of people, heroes who are actually involved in Binondo. And you will see na there's a representation here of the various magazines, various literature that floated around Binondo at this time. Why? Because Binondo is very near where our nation was actually conceived. Really. No? I had a tour where I toured with some group of friends from the Bahay Nakpil, Binondo, Tondo, San Nicolas districts. And I realized, yun palang mga pinag-uusapan sa history ng mga events, walking distance lang pala sila sa isa't isa. How? Okay, next slide you will see Andres Bonifacio and Gregoria de Jesus. And why is that? Gregoria de Jesus, of course, we know that Bonifacio came from Tondo, very near Binondo, organizes the Katipunan in Tondo, no, Azcárraga Street in Tondo, Manila, which is now Recto. You will also see na itong idililigawan niya, his second wife was actually Gregoria de Jesus, who is a resident of San Nicolas district, which is near Binondo, or San Nicolas, Binondo. Now, they were married in 1893 in Binondo Church. Yun yung first wedding nila. But they were also married in Babaylan rites of the Katipunan. Now, in the house of Doroteo Onghungko in Ilaya Street, Tondo, near Binondo, you will have a what we call, itong tinatawag natin na meeting of the La Liga Filipina, in which Rizal, Bonifacio became involved, and Apolinario Mabini. But Rizal was part of that as well. He organized it. But he was arrested, and yung lahat ng lugar na yun, no, Azcárraga, Ilaya, these were part of where the Katipunan started, di ba? Next picture, yes, from Adarna, thank you. So nilakad namin lahat yan. And this is amazing. This is the group that we have, no, in the next picture. And there's a house where we went in La Vezare Street. What's that house? It used to be the site of Pio Valenzuela's house in Binondo, where they printed, next slide, the Kalayaan, the newspaper of the Katipunan. In that area, and the newspapers were printed by a guy named Candido Iben and Francisco del Castillo, they came from Aklan and Panay, and they were Australian. They were divers from Australia, OFWs who came to the Philippines and helped in the revolution. So, in that house, next slide please, Pio Valenzuela, Andres Bonifacio, and Emilio Jacinto actually came up with the newspaper. So, Pio Valenzuela published it, and Emilio Jacinto was the editor of what we call Kalayaan. Next picture, please. And you will also see Pag-ibig sa Tinubuang Bayan. Yan. And Pag-ibig sa Tinubuang Bayan was part of those that they published. And this is the actual manuscript from the Archivo General Militar de Madrid. Okay. We know that the Lunas came from Ilocos, but they actually have a house very, very near Binondo. No? This is near the Raja Sulaiman High School, the birthplace of General Antonio Luna. Next slide, please. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So the birthplace of General Antonio Luna. You will see there. It's of course, this is what we believe itong birthplace na niya. And of course, Jose Rizal. We go back to Jose Rizal. When he died, next picture, please. He was executed in the Luneta in 1896. You will see the next picture, his family. They were already relocated from Calamba. They're now in Binondo. So he was the mother of Rizal was living in Narcisa's house in Binondo. And today, we don't have the house now, but in Ocean Cell Building, next slide please, you will see the markers of what used to be the house of Narcisa and Chodora Alonso. What's the importance of that house? So these are from the Binondo Heritage, Chinatown Museum. There's a copy of El Renacimiento and La Patria pertaining to Jose Rizal's death, and the burial ground in Paco, Manila. No? So next picture, you will see where Jose Rizal was buried after his execution in the Paco Cemetery. There's the mother of Rizal and some of their relatives there. In 1896, when they exhumed the body of Jose Rizal, they placed it in an urn, and that urn was placed in the house of Teodora Alonso in Binondo. So the mother of Rizal always want to show visitors the head, the skull of Jose Rizal after reciting the Mi Ultimo Adios from memory. Very touching mother. And of course, you will see here Doña Teodora Alonso, when almost dying, she was at her death chair before she died in Binondo as well. So when Doña Teodora died, eventually the Rizal Monument would be erected, and they had a procession. So next slide, you will see a map of Manila, wherein you will see that from Binondo, they had the procession to the Ayuntamiento of the urn with the Knights of Rizal and the Masons, and eventually they laid it in Ayuntamiento for one day, and they brought it to where the Jose Rizal Monument is now there, in the Luneta. This was in 1912. In 1913, they'll put the monument. Now, we reenacted this as part of the Knights of Rizal. So you will see the original picture. Can we have that photo? So this is one of our ideas for the Knights of Rizal. We went to Binondo early morning of the 100th anniversary of the burial of Rizal, and we had this procession wherein we imitated the old Knights of Rizal when they reburied Jose Rizal in Luneta. So we started our walk in Binondo. Yeah. Next picture, please. With Gemma Cruz Araneta, representing the Rizal family in the in the symbolic reburial of Jose Rizal. Yeah. And we talk about the Philippine Revolution, which of course Jose Rizal had a lot to do to inspire. There's one guy from Haboneros Street in Binondo who was a blacksmith, and he was Chinese. He was pure-blooded Chinese, and his name is Jose Ignacio Pawa. And you will see his picture, very dashing, and he became part of the generals of the revolution. And Pawa according to Teodoro Agoncillo, because he was winning battles for the Philippine cause against the Spaniards and the Americans, and he was very loyal to the Republic. And Ignacio Paua was, according to Teodoro Agoncillo, more Filipino than a lot of Filipinos. So that says a lot about this pure-blooded Chinese guy who fought for us. Of course, there's one thing lang na medyo there's a tarnish in his reputation, because he was faithful with Aguinaldo during the time of the conflict with Bonifacio. Siya yung sumaksak sa leeg kay Bonifacio when they arrested him. But of course, we still give credit to his contributions to the Philippine Revolution. And then Ong Pin, right? There's Ong Pin, the jewelry place, the jewelry street, diba? So Ong Pin. Who is Ong Pin? There's a big joke about this monument near the Binondo Church na parang there's a Chinoy guy na nakabarong na may sobre, tapos sabi nila magsusuhol daw siya ng politiko, kaya daw siya may sobre. That's a very bad joke. I don't like that joke. No? Because I don't like that joke because the guy represented by this monument and the Ong Pin Street is actually a very, very important guy in our history. Not so much talked about. The guy's name is Roman Ong Pin. Now, who was Roman Ong Pin? Okay, in 1882, he created a store called El 82. Next slide, please. You will see the tarjeta of El 82, tindahan ng pinturas, no? Ni Roman Ong Pin. And Binondo Chinatown Museum gave me a beautiful picture of El 92, El 82 there. Beautiful. And who was Roman Ong Pin, no? So, yung El 82 niya, doon lang naman nagchichikahan yung mga bayani natin. So the Lunas would go there, they will buy paint, no? Si Juan Luna will buy paint there, the art materials and all of that, ano? It's an art store, a very beautiful art store. Tapos sino pa yung pupunta doon lagi? Pedro Paterno. So the Luna brothers, Juan and Antonio, Pedro Paterno, Mariano Limhap, who's of course another Chinoy na very beautiful ang kanyang contributions sa ating bansa. And Pascual Poblete, and what were they doing? He was not just selling art materials. He was also selling, La Solidaridad and the novels of Rizal and all the other publications. So, Roman Ong Pin is basically a pro-Filipino guy. Now, when his El 82 burned down, next slide before that, Roman Ong Pin actually sold, had his yung tawag na insurance, and gave it to the Republic, Emilio Aguinaldo. So he gave it to Emilio Aguinaldo, yung insurance money nung nasunog yung El 82. And he also was part, and he was a fan of Bonifacio. Andres Bonifacio, he said, was the most important Filipino. And he was part, next slide please, of what we call the Union Obrera Democratica. The labor union at that time. So he was part of it. Isabelo de los Reyes, Roman Ong Pin, and Gregorio Aglipay. Ganun siya katindi. And ito yung nakakatuwa dyan, when the Americans came, kinulong siya. So kinulong na siya kasi kinulong pa siya ng mga Amerikano. Nainis siya, ba't siya kinulong? So sabi niya, kahit minsan, sa buong buhay ko, never ko ng kahit di 5 pagbebentahan ng mga Amerikano. That was his promise. So dahil sa ginawa nila sa Pilipinas. So he never sold anything to an American. And when he died, he said, when I die, please bury me wearing the barong Tagalog. Napakagaling no Roman Ong Pin. He was really patriotic and talagang modelo siya. Now, ang ganda nito kasi, the Binondo Chinatown Museum gave me a picture, beautiful picture of El 82 na merong interior ng shop ni Roman Ong Pin. And you know what's fantastic? After the lockdown, you have to visit the Binondo Chinatown Museum to get a feel of the shop of this great patriot of the Philippines at Sinoy. Nandun, merong replica ng El 82 shop. Di ba? Ang ganda. So, bisitahin natin yan. And then, of course, there more Chinoys. You have La Tondena, which was founded by 1902 by Carlos Palanca Tanchinlay. Tanchinlay siya, and then he took the name Carlos Palanca, and he is actually the one being honored in what we call the Palanca Memorial Awards for Literature. That's Tanchinlay. And si Carlos Palanca Tanchinlay, mabuti rin yan sa mga sa mga Pilipino. In fact, siya yung nagpahiram ng pera para magka-business, si Miguel Malvar. So, yan yung mga niya, yan yung mga kwento ng mga Chinoy noon. Talagang meron silang part na nagbibigay sila sa mga patriots, no? And then you have the China Banking Corporation, of course, na nandyan din sa Binondo area. Okay, of course, we now know that when the war came, the Chinese actually sided with the Filipinos, the Chinoys. And the Chinese, the ethnic Chinese, they formed two guerrilla groups. One of them is the pro-Chiang Kai-shek group, pro-Kuomintang. And the other one is the Wachi 48th Squadron, the Wachi guerrillas. And talagang, if you're going to look at it, the Chinatown Museum gave a very beautiful drawing here of their tribute to the Wachi guerrillas na nagpapakita na, may contribution ng mga Chinoy sa ating struggle for freedom from people like Manong Pin to the Wachi guerrilla group and all of that. And you will see here that Binondo was site of that history, of that contribution, of that meeting of minds, meeting of ideas, of what shall we say, meeting of hearts of the people. So you will see here, the war, of course, destroyed Binondo, because Binondo was burned by the Japanese. So the Americans bombed the south side to shell out the Japanese, but the Japanese burned Binondo, and you will see here the picture of that area. No. Now, of course, when you think about meeting of the minds, meeting of culture, togetherness, what better way to celebrate that is by food, diba? So if you're going to look at this picture from John Tewell, he got this from the U.S. Library. There's Binondo Church, and there's that bridge connecting San Nicolas to Binondo. And then you will see that near the bridge, there's a house that says Pansiteria Macanista de Buen Gusto. Okay, so you will see another picture in another slide. Pansiteria Macanista de Buen Gusto. So this is good. Parang good food from Macau, Pansit Macau, which is good food. It was cited by Jose Rizal in the El Filibusterismo as the meeting place of Filipino students. So binanggit pa yan ni Jose Rizal. Now, you know what's amazing about this building, the Pansiteria Macanista de Buen Gusto, na famous pansiteria. I went there kasi nagkayayaan kami ni Ivan Mandy. I dedicate this lecture to Ivan Mandy because we know a lot about Intramuros because of Ivan. On the night of the eve of the Chinese New Year, he was able to kidnap me, nagpakidnap naman ako, to Binondo. And he made me feel for the first time what Chinese New Year was like in Binondo itself. And yeah, that's Ivan, and we're in front of the Binondo Church. Please go back to the picture, the last one. You will see the Binondo Church. We're actually stepping on the bridge that was in the picture, and the old black house on your left is actually that building, Pansiteria Macanista de Buen Gusto. That is the old building. It's still there, but it's dilapidating, and hopefully we can do something about that. Now, what Ivan did was he showed me the Ongpin Street, what was Ongpin Street like, and it was so festive. Can we look at the next pictures, please? I see the Filipinos, Chinese, foreigners, they're all there to celebrate. Next picture, please. Ivan and Anson and all the others, we were eating, and that was great stuff there. Now, when we talk about so sabi ko, togetherness, food, ideas, What better way to, when you think of Binondo, you think of, food, you think of kaginhawaan. This was what's the date? June 30 of 2010. Okay, June 30 of 2010, we're actually in the Quirino Grandstand. We watched the inauguration of then President Benigno Aquino III in 2010. Can we go to that slide? Mhm. With my friends from UP. Mhm. Do you have those? The one in the grandstand. Yeah, yeah. And in the picture, we're with the wife of the former Prime Minister of Malaysia, si Wan Asisa Ismail, the wife of Anwar Ibrahim. Um, After the inauguration, we said, okay, we're hungry, of course. We need to eat. Where are you going to eat? And of course, sabi namin, what's the area here in Luneta, in the center of the Philippines, the center of Manila, which is very near, where you have great food, not cheap, but something that would satisfy our hearts and our bellies. Of course, Binondo. So we went to Binondo to eat. And we were there, and mukha kaming mga, nakagown kami lahat, pero pumunta kami sa Binondo, and we went to that store to eat. And yun yung naalala natin na when we go to Binondo, we look for goods, murang-mura, nasisiyahan yung puso mo. Yun yung ating experience lagi sa Binondo. So now you see, so we go to this series of pictures. When you look back at the history, from the ethnic Chinese to what would eventually become the mestizos, all of that, diba? The hardships, the common struggles, yung common racial experiences with the Spaniards, with what the colonizers did to us, with the Sinoys, the Chinese, and the Filipinos, the Indios, and what eventually we would become, the Sinoys, because I'm also part of that community, because of the industriousness of our ancestors. You will see na, this is what we have all become. We are here, we are Sinoys, we are Filipinos in Binondo, we're a nation, na product tayo ng lahat ng experiences na yon, ng ating kasaysayan, ng pang-aapi, ng paghihirap, ng saya, and that is what also Binondo represents. Our shared past, our shared experiences as a people. That's why if you look at this presentation, you will see that Binondo was not just Chinese. Binondo was not just Chinoy. Binondo is actually the microcosm. The story of Binondo is a microcosm of the story of every town, of every city in the Philippines. This is our story. Binondo's story is our story. So when we go back to Binondo after the lockdown, when we visit the Chinatown Museum in Binondo, when you go back to the history of our ancestors there, you will see a part of yourself in that story. You will see yourself in that story. And you will also remember your joys, your happiness when you visited Binondo. Binondo is our shared past, our shared experience, and the place that we can all share. Makasaysayang hapon po sa ating lahat.
Okay, thank you for that talk, Sir Xiao. I'm sure we have a lot of comments. I'm sure there's a lot to discuss. A lot of people learned a lot of things. So for those who just came on, thank you for supporting Sir Xiao's talk, and thank you, Sir Xiao, for coming on. So if you learned anything from Sir Xiao's talk, #History Matters. I hope when all this lockdown is over, Sir Xiao can come visit our museum, and you guys can also come visit our museum to know more about Binondo, because Binondo often when people think of Binondo, it's often just the food or the Chinese New Year, but it's really like so much more than that. Yeah. And it's so
Right,
much
right.
bigger than the
And
Binondo now, right?
mm, right. And kaya ka excited ako when I was seeing the pictures and how you represented that history. That was really
Yeah.
well curated and fantastic. And I congratulate you for this effort that you did. I hope there will be more museums like this. And yeah, let's see each other when the lockdown ends.
Yeah. So you can follow Sir Xiao on his following social media that we've plastered onto the screen. So you can find him anywhere and everywhere. He has
Right?
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. He even has his own website. Or you can, just approach him on the comment sections. So
Yep.
yeah, so just to credit our
And those
image
that would not be
sources.
read. Oh yeah, image sources. Yeah. Just for those whose questions would not be read, I will go back and answer them in the inbox, in the comment
In the
box
comment
after this
section.
talk. Yes.
For those, okay, so the live is lagging a bit. For those who are asking for a certificate of attendance, we posted the link on the comment section. We will do it again. We will also post it on our page, so in case you would want a certificate. We do have one po. Just please either find it on the comments or ask it from us from the direct message. So ayan. Thank you, Sir
Oh, I would
Xiao,
like
for
to
coming
just
on.
answer this
Go, go, go.
a bit, ano. Yeah, thank you. Uh,
Go ahead, Sir
yep.
Xiao. What were you gonna
Yeah,
answer?
yeah. There's one comment here from Maria Cecilia Atienza. Yeah, ear candling. They call it ear candling, the one that where they get the tutuli. Thank you at Miss Atienza. Salamat.
Okay, so
Yeah.
after Sir Xiao's live stream, we still have three more live streams actually for the month of June. For next Saturday, it's Cuento,
Yes.
Kulay at Kultura with Ed Sison of Kinulayang Kasaysayan and Cedric Fajardo. So if you've seen some of the images that Sir Xiao uses, it looks like it could have been black and white, but it's colored. Some of those are the works of Ed Sison. And then after that, we will talk more about money, which is also a topic that Sir Xiao touched upon on the earlier part of his presentation. We will be
Right.
having it with Halo Halo Histories and with the authors of Halo Halo Histories. This will be very kid-friendly, so stay tuned for that. And lastly, we will be having What's Inside Chinatown Museum. So Sir Xiao kind of already gave us a sneak peek of what's inside the museum, but we'll be having another sneak peek for our last live stream on June. This will also be very kid-friendly. So thank you, Sir Xiao, once again for coming on to our show. And yeah, do you have any last words to close us out?
Well, thank you, Ivan. Yeah, Ivan was commenting on some of the things that I said, and I appreciate that you watched it. I'm so honored. Salamat po. And yeah, I will get back to some. And noted po, there are some comments that, and they're really giving me new
Yeah.
learnings as well. Kaya nga
Yeah.
ginawa ko tong aking talk ngayon is to really learn a lot from all of you as well. And because you cannot really learn if you'll just keep these things for yourself. And thank you all for listening and for watching the presentation. I will note all of your comments. Thank you so much. And Sofia Salvador, thank you then for watching.
Okay, so yeah, we will leave our live stream here, and thank you all for watching, and we'll be going off in a bit.
Yep.